Just afterwards reading the comments from F1 veterans like Lewis Hamilton saying like this was the best parade ever, that really tells you something. And you could as well see that the F1 pilots went totally crazy, and the childhood just awoke in them, and they just had so much fun. Even though they were not supposed to hit each other, they turned it into kind of destruction derby of F1 cars. But yeah, what an amazing achievement. I simply had a crazy idea, like what if I flip one of the wishbones upside down and get a different geometry of the attachment points, and suddenly voila, it worked. But it took me like a month and a half to get there, just in terms of the front suspension, which I was redoing constantly. So yeah, it's not a job for everyone. You need to be ready to redo things many times, like dozens of times, if it doesn't work really. It is mind-blowing feeling, honestly. Like, after the model was released, I simply just posted on my social media, like, who would have thought that a kid that started with Lego bricks that late and had only few boxes as a kid would be designing models that a four-time world champion in F1 would be holding and taking photos of it. Hello, I'm Milan Reindl, and this is Cars and Culture with Jason Stein.
From the racetrack to the toy box, today we're exploring what happens when two global obsessions meet. Formula One and Lego. Speed, precision, and of course, childhood dreams. Brick by brick. Milan, it is wonderful to have you on the program. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you. I had the opportunity to attend the Miami Grand Prix back in May, just ahead of summer. And it was an extremely exciting, extremely fascinating, wild afternoon, not because of the racetracks on the cars, or the cars that were on the racetrack, rather, but because of the driver's parade that took place ahead of it, with fully drivable, big build cars touring on the track. What an accomplishment. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, it must have been a moment of pride for you.
I wasn't involved directly into this project, but just afterwards reading the comments from F1 veterans like Lewis Hamilton saying like this was the best parade ever, that really tells you something. And you could as well see that the F1 pilots went totally crazy, and the childhood just awoke in them, and they just had so much fun. Even though they were not supposed to hit each other, they turned it into kind of destruction derby of F1 cars. But yeah, what an amazing achievement. And building life-size Lego speed champions, F1 cars that can fit two drivers at the same time and are fully operational is yeah, quite a stunt from the Lego group, if you ask me.
Yeah, the amount of time involved in putting all this together, I know, was kind of crazy, and this is a multi-year partnership that's going on between the two groups. But 26 designers, engineers, builders, 22,000 hours in the Gladno factory located in your former home of the Czech Republic.
Yes.
What a special moment for both brands, right?
Yeah, I think so as well. But Kladno is really known, and the workshop in there known for like overdoing themselves every year. Like, whatever they achieve one year, they beat it the year after. So they did exactly the same with the amount of hours and work put into the F1 cars. They started originally just building, just if we can say, like life-size replicas of things for Legoland parks and special exhibitions, and right now to like fully one-to-one scale drivable cars. And no matter if we take the Bugatti in 2018, the McLaren 2 years ago or 3 years ago already, and then the F1 cars. So yes, there are a bunch of very talented and dedicated people, and they are willing to experiment and try even harder than before.
It's amazing to me when I looked at some of the statistics nearly 400,000 Lego bricks for each big build.
Yes.
But the vehicles weigh 1,000 kilograms and can go 20 kilometers an hour, 12 miles an hour. That intricate detail that's been captured, the unique detail of the cars, the sponsor logos on the side, authentic Pirelli tires. I
Yeah.
mean, what's the mindset that goes into these sorts of things?
Um, it's just the willingness to, challenge whatever anybody else has done before and trying it better, harder, and, not be afraid as well to fail throughout the process because that's what, in every designer's mindsets, that's what we do every day pretty much. Be ready to change things if they do not work. And sometimes, especially in the Kladno workshop, they are pretty bound with very tight deadlines, so they do not have much space for failure. So sometimes it's just one good attempt that needs to work, and usually does.
Yeah. Julia Golden, who's the chief product and marketing officer at Lego Group, said that at Lego, and you know this, at Lego, you're constantly striving to push the boundaries of what's possible. That's the mindset
Yes,
inside the company, correct?
that's true. Like you don't want to rinse and repeat the same stuff, all the time. You're always challenging yourself. And even though if you're designing something that has been done before, it's good to just take a few steps back and look at the thing that you're working on and looking as well at the previous products that were similar and saying like, could I do something better? Could I do it in a different way, a cooler way, easier way, a way that is easier to build or a way that will perform better in the case of the electric drivable cars as well.
You've been involved in the Lego Technic department since you began,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
For
But
13 and a half years almost. Yes.
your story is an unusual one. You're a former English teacher
Yes.
from a
That's
very
correct.
small
And
town.
I used to teach in a city at a high school, but afterwards, a friend of mine just let me know that there's a vacant position for an English teacher in my hometown. So I was like, yeah, I might try to come back where I was born. And when I arrived there, I was just asked like, what else can you teach? And I was like, well, English and Russian languages, but nobody learns Russian these days. So is that not enough? And they told me that I have to add at least one other subject, and it was choice between chemistry and physical education. And I'm terrible at sports, but I can set things on fire. So that was my premise. I was like, I can do my own fireworks. Let's try chemistry.
Amazing. You sent in your CV with a few images of your best looking models, but
Hmm.
nobody called you back. I mean, it was a year
Yeah.
and a half before you were invited for your first
No, it
job
was it
interview.
was half a year before my first job interview, but still, I completely lost hope. I was like, okay, it either got lost somewhere or they don't want me. Would be at least nice if somebody, found 5 minutes to write me an email like, thank you for this. We don't need you. So I just, yeah, completely lost hope. And half a year later, I was invited for the first job interview, which I passed, but unfortunately, the Lego Group stopped hiring employees. So, but they couldn't share the information with me back then. I learned about it like just a few years ago from the same guy that was supposed to hire me. And then I had to wait until he stepped up to the lead role of the director of the Lego City, and his wingman was appointed the design manager of LEGO Technic, and there was vacant position at the end of 2011 again. So they called me and they were like, "We have your portfolio. I heard good things about you, but I need to see you in person if you click with me and with the team." So I flew before Christmas 2011 to Billund, which was really gray, hazy,
Hmm.
rainy, dark. And I was like, is it really the place where I'm gonna spend the following years and where I want to spend my following years? Yeah, everything changed as soon as I entered the design studio and met all the designers, and they were, you know, like good friends that you knew from the internet, but they were all welcoming me with open arms. And I just thought for a second, like, yes, I can probably survive here. And look at me, I'm here for 13 and a half
13
years
years,
designing
right?
LEGO Technic models. So yeah.
What amazing story. The first time you actually touched Lego bricks, you were maybe 10 years old.
Yeah, I was actually 10 years old when I first touched them, which is quite late for a kid. But it was the problem of availability back then in communist Czechoslovakia, where Lego was considered the evil Western brand, and it was hard to get. So,
Wow.
a friend of mine's parents were doctors, and they were members of communist parties. So they somehow managed to sneak in a few boxes from the Western Germany, and I was so amazed by the things that little box could do. And then, my friend let me play with his Lego while he was doing something else in the meantime, or while I was afterwards, helping him with the homeworks or whatever we did back in the afternoons. And I just thought, like, I want more. We didn't have that much money, so I got only a few small sets when I was a kid. But yeah, I left Lego in Lego sets and playing with them in like 95. And in 2005, I resurrected something that became probably an obsession or addiction, I could call it. And yeah, I can't stop playing with the Lego bricks even after I'm done at work. I come home, have a break, and then I build in the evenings as well. So yeah.
What are you working on now?
Oh, I can't tell you, but we are right now shaping the assortment of the LEGO Technic product line for 2027. I can't even
Wow.
share the stuff that is coming in 4 months because that still has a embargo. So
Right.
if I told you the information, I might not be the senior designer at LEGO Technic from tomorrow.
Right, right, right. Let me ask you this: you're always working, like you said, so far ahead. I mean, a
Hmm.
year and a half ahead. It's almost like an automotive product cycle, isn't it? Where automotive engineers can't talk about future product that's coming
Yeah.
because they're
Uh,
working so far ahead.
we simply, as a part of our agreement with the company, is that we sign non-disclosure agreement and we can't share any
Right,
information about the upcoming products unless the embargo is already either lifted or we are allowed to share it with certain media with permission from the people that are sitting above me. But yeah, we can easily talk about the stuff that came this year and the years before, like the Red Bull F1 that I have sitting over
yeah,
here. And
yeah. So tell me a little bit about the Red Bull F1. I mean, it's a fascinating vehicle. What's the scale on that?
it's approximately 1 to 8-ish.
Mm,
It's not exactly 1 to 8. It's tiny bit smaller, but it is kind of 63, I believe, centimeter long model or interpretation, as we call it in Lego Technic, because it never has the um, all the dimensions and characteristics of a die-cast model. We always interpret the details because we need to work with 99% of the elements that we already have there. So it needs to be buildable, and you can afterwards rip it apart and turn it into whatever you want afterwards. And this was quite a pleasant, actually, cooperation with the Oracle Red Bull F1 racing team because they were uh, easy to work with. They shared with us quite a lot of time ahead some information about the RB20. So to build the first prototype, they were like, just base it off the RB19, and then we can start from there. We can't disclose much yet, but since it was approaching the end of the year 2023, they were like, we will be revealing the RB20 in approximately 2.5 months' time. What we can share with you is a media-friendly model, which doesn't show all the cards, doesn't put all the cards on the table, but will be pretty close in terms of shape, which is what you need to capture the essence of the RB20. They told me all the details about the suspension setup, that it was exactly the same as on the RB19, which is what we needed to start with while building the chassis. The engine was exactly the same as well. And then when the RB20 was officially revealed, they afterwards just told me like, oh, by the way, the amount of blades that you have in the venturi tunnels. I was like, yeah, I have four there. Yeah, just add two.
Hmm.
We simply, left something hidden from the media, so we didn't show all our competitors all the things. But most of the shaping is correct, and they afterwards told me which things should I adjust if I build it according to the media-friendly model of the car. So I had access to some 3D assets fairly early on, so I could start working on this beast.
Wow. Was that the first F1 car you had done?
Oh, yes. If I take into account like F1 cars that I had officially released, I've done a few in the past, but it was just fan-based or fan-built models or alternate builds of other sets. So yes, this was my first F1.
Are you a Formula One fan?
Yes, thanks to Max Verstappen again. I used to follow F1 a lot, like in the 80s and 90s. We used to watch it with my dad. And then something happened to the design of the F1 cars, and I couldn't watch them any longer. They lifted the nose off the ground.
Yeah, I
And
know
I
what
was
you
like,
mean.
this is awful. I can't look for 2 hours at such ugly cars going around the track. So, yeah, that was my stopping point. And afterwards, I realized, like in 2019, 2020, that they started looking good again. So I came back.
How difficult was it from start to finish to put together a model that so closely resembles the real thing?
Uh, I had quite a few times I had doubts about what I had on my desk in front of me because the designers from Red Bull and all the licensing managers that we cooperated with very closely were like, oh, this looks great, but this is not the feedback that I want to hear. I want to hear feedback like, this is great, but could you change this? Could you tweak this? Could this be done better? Could this be more accurate? Could this be angled more towards the front, back, whatever? So I was like, is it really that good, or are they just overlooking something? So the more they told me it looks great, the more I doubt it. It really does. And the other thing that was quite challenging for me was following the constant updates on the RB20 throughout the season.
Mm.
So what I have over here is something that was the car at the end of April 2024, approximately. Yeah.
Wow. And then it kept changing.
And then I stopped changing it because I was like, if I need to finalize the model, which was like within a month from that time, and I need to make the building sequence correct, align all the elements across because even though this is 18 plus models, we have some restrictions and guidelines on what you can and cannot do in terms of like the colors of the parts and the similarity of them in shape. Then I had to align the things across. So I told them like, this is the last update I'm doing to the shaping. If you're okay with this, perfectly fine. And this is how the car is going to look eventually. And they were like, yeah, that's great. The other bit that was super challenging was the front pull rod suspension because I really wanted to keep the front nose really sleek and narrow. So it's only 3 modules wide until you attach the other section of the body, which is like somewhere over here. And putting fully working suspension and steering that can hold a model that weighs approximately kilogram and a half and is 63 centimeters long was really challenging. So whenever I came up with a solution, it was either the steering was rubbing against the wishbones or it was too soft. And then I simply had a crazy idea like, what if I flip one of the wishbones upside down and get a different geometry of the attachment points? And suddenly, voila, it worked, but it took me like a month and a half to get there just in terms of the front suspension, which I was redoing constantly. So yeah, it's not a job for everyone. You need to be ready to redo things many times, like dozens of times if
Do
it
you,
doesn't work really.
do you become so immersed in this at this point that it becomes an obsession?
Yes. And whichever model I am in the process of designing, I am totally like within the envelope of that car vehicle.
You're
I
living it.
I keep watching it in on TV. I keep, researching if there are any updates to that thing. If it goes through any races, I keep following it and of course rooting for it because this is gonna be my baby next year. So yes,
Wow.
it's it as well helps you to afterwards stay focused, simply. So the more you like the thing that you are working on, the better the result, I would say. Not that
Yeah.
it's always perfect, but I try to beat myself every time I design a vehicle.
How do you celebrate the fact that you're finished? I mean, do you sort of put it on a table with a glass of champagne and say, well, there it is?
That would be great. We can't drink in the office, but
I mean, at home.
yeah. It's more like you finish the design part of the model, but it's never really finished, if
It's
you
not
will,
done. Yeah.
until it exits the market completely. And still, even afterwards, you might get questions in regards of that model. So, it's still with you for a very long period of time. Because once you finish the design, you need to approve the stickers, you need to approve the packaging for it. You go for the video shoot of the ads with the model. You prepare the models for special video shoots, like I believe was beginning of November last year. I had to get two models ready for Sergio and Max because they were filming them at the Qatar Grand Prix. They did like a fake pit stop with the Lego model,
Wow.
and there was as well video of and photos of video and of Max and Sergio holding the model and admiring the details. So yeah.
That's got to be that moment right there, Milan, has got to be the most gratifying um, point for you that you have spent all of this time
Hmm.
creating and molding and shaping and changing and adjusting, and then you have a Formula One driver that's holding the model that you've created in your mind and then in reality. That's got to be
Yeah,
so gratifying.
it is mind-blowing feeling, honestly. Like, after the model was released, I simply just posted on my social media, like, who would have thought that a kid that started with Lego bricks that late and had only few boxes as a kid would be designing models that a four-time world champion in F1 would be
Wow.
holding and taking photos of.
Come
It's
on.
yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Like, universe sometimes really does spin in in funny and unexpected ways. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, Red Bull, I was going to say Red Bull's reaction, the driver's reaction, I mean, must have been super positive.
It was, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they see all the amount of work that went into this model. And I really tried hard to capture every possible detail given the scale and the constraints of the LEGO Technic platform that we have. Even redoing constantly like some of the shaping so it fits and looks better as a Lego model and follows more the real life counterpart. And there are of course some things that are challenging and you can't fix, but then suddenly you have an idea that somehow solves it. So for example, if we look at the front wing in real life, it's made of four layers of the blades over here.
Yep.
And if I put four, it would be too thick. So what we did with the graphic designer is that we faked the fourth one. So we split the stickers and it split into four segments and it just works. Sometimes even crazy ideas afterwards just solve the problems. And
I
usually the
love it.
simpler the solution, the better.
You're not just selling plastic bricks here. You're building culture at Lego.
Yeah,
Uh,
you could say that.
what is how do you see Lego's role in the future of even just the attention and the energy around motorsports and more specifically maybe Formula One?
Um,
It's feeding
I
all of it, isn't it?
sorry?
It's feeding all of it.
Yeah, like, the partnership with F1, if we could say a renewed partnership with F1, because, Lego Technic and Lego Racers in the past have been designing Lego F1 cars. Just renewing it and jumping into the same world again is more than logical. The amount of educational capabilities Lego bricks do have, the amount of fun the F1 races do bring, and merging these two things together, so fun from both sides, is quite amazing. And it's as well like, the F1 world. If you follow just their YouTube channel, I love as well the technical talks about it, which, that's what to me as well should Lego Technic be about: educating people how do things work in real life and replicating in a simpler way, what do the machines really do. So, hearing those experts talking about things like even aerodynamics or how does the steering, suspension, and everything works is quite amazing. And I love, learning and getting information from both the ends. So yeah.
And I think kids who build these cars now, your Technic cars, your Lego Technic cars, will likely maybe grow up wanting to be Formula One engineers or designers
Or
or
designers, yes.
general car
And
designers.
the more the merrier, of course. The more knowledge we gather as mankind, the better for us. The more education we have, the better it is. And my uncle once said, you should learn at least one new information every day to just, keep your brain occupied. And that's what I tried to go by. It's so good to be able to express yourself and as well love things that you're doing, regardless of what it is. If you're designing an F1 car, or if you're designing a toy F1 car, or even if you're a dustman, as soon as you're enjoying the time that you spend doing something, it's just, never time wasted.
Well, and you're after having done the Red Bull build, I mean, you're an engineer, right?
And you could
You're
say that.
certainly
I'm,
getting
I'm still
closer.
I'm still a teacher by education that probably should have gone to a different school. But on the other hand, it taught me as well other things. And the great thing as well about, learning all the psychology and education is that the target audience. You know what is in the kids' minds, how do they grow up, what they are capable of at certain ages and stages of life. And that helps me as well designing the Lego models.
That Red Bull model that you just talked about, how many pieces in total?
1639, if I remember the number correctly.
And how long should that take to put?
Uh,
And then tell me what it realistically takes.
to build using instructions, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. If you are not rushing it and you have a full day off, you should be able to finish it by the end
Oh.
of the day.
Oh.
It can be done within 4-ish hours, but you're not gonna enjoy much of the build. It's gonna be really rushed through. There are as well builders that enjoy, the fast pace of building. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, take your time and just get through it. Yeah. Let me ask you some other general Lego questions. Do you come up with the design ideas on things you work on, or do you work according to assignments?
It's both ways. It's both ways. Sometimes it's our marketing that come up with the idea, doing the market research. Sometimes it's us coming up with better idea afterwards and removing one of their ideas out of the assortment, and it works totally both ways.
You've put together some incredible models over the years, and I read that one of the models that you're most proud of is the Fireplane
Hmm.
42040 that you designed 10 years ago.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And I saw the image of the plane online. It is beyond fascinating and complicated and beautiful. But you said it just ticks all of the boxes for the great Lego Technic model that a Technic model should have. What did you mean by that?
It's sturdy, it's functional, it's playable. In this case, there's a term swooshable if you if you've heard of it.
Yep.
So you can just pretend that you're flying the plane. Plus, the functions are really easy to operate with one bigger hand, even if you're flying or pretending to fly with the plane. So yeah. Plus, the development process of this model was smooth sailing from the beginning till the end. Like there were no problems at all whatsoever. I started the model and like I probably built like 4 or 5 prototypes and I had something that was like 95% finished. And then it was just like very tiny and small tweaks. It turned out great. And back in the day, we as well did the B models, and the B model turned out as well really good in my eyes. So yeah, as a whole toy, I think it's just great, playable, fun product that wasn't too big, wasn't as well too difficult to get. It was like $50 price point, so it's not something that you have to rob a bank to afford. Um, and yeah, in my eyes, great toy product.
One of the models that you said is the most challenging was the Land Rover Defender.
Oh yes.
And it was the gearbox you said that was so complicated.
Yeah, it was back in the day I was tasked with the Land Rover Defender and there was one ask from the marketing like what could be the most on this one? I was like, well, if you want I can put the most complicated gearbox in it, which is what I did. It wasn't flawless, but it taught me a lot. And sometimes complicated, it's not for the good of the product. Even though, visually and everything, it turned out pretty well. But the gearbox had some issues afterwards in the market, which we couldn't foresee when we designed and tested the model. And the model was really tested hard. So it was running, shifting the gears for 12 hours on a treadmill, and there were no issues at all whatsoever. And then people started building the model, and the model started cracking in between the gear wheels. And then we found out it's something that we couldn't have foreseen, and it was not the fault of the design. It was more than some things were changed without letting us know, if you will.
I see.
But
I see.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But it was it
Um,
was it was still a fun model and still looks great. I still have it on my shelf in a motorized version.
and another model that was interesting in your story, and but that took the most toll on you in terms of stress and workload, a certain Mercedes-Benz model. Tell us
Oh
about that.
yeah. Um, I wanted a new and very unique color for it, which was the closest match that we had to the brochures that the Mercedes-Benz used on the G500 Professional line edition. And simply not everybody in production was ready to release all the elements for such a big amount of elements that I needed for the Mercedes-Benz. So I had to redo and rebuild some of the things so I could use fewer types of the elements, if you will. But besides that, the cooperation with Mercedes-Benz was nice. It was mostly agreeing on the color and afterwards some feedback about like what else could we add to the car to make it really look like the G500 professional line, really rugged, capable off-roader that you use not for shopping and show off, but for really doing some job in hard to reach terrain. And the final result, I hope, is good. I still like looking at the model, and I'm proud of the achievement, especially in terms of what the chassis is capable of, like the differential locks, the gearbox, the suspension travel, which is something that I've probably overdone a little bit. It
Hmm.
actually travels, the suspension travels if you take it to the scale more than on the real G500. Because one of the first things I saw in Graz in Austria, where the production is located, was the G500 professional line, the previous edition, standing on rocks with twisted axles completely.
Hmm.
I was like, I need to capture this. So I did, and yeah, you can twist the axles and push the suspension even into more extreme positions than on the real car.
Wow. Did you ever think that you would be such a car guy, I guess?
Uh, could you repeat the question, please?
Did you ever think you'd be such a car guy, such a person who is so enamored
Oh,
with vehicles?
I guess I kind of always was, but planes were, my top interest in terms of vehicles. I always loved looking at jet planes, no matter if it was passenger ones or jet fighters. And I'm fascinated by the fact that, if you just push fuel through a tube and set it on fire, you can make something fly. And the same goes for combustion engine, to be honest. And I simply do admire clean and simple design, regardless if it's a car, boat, plane. But yes, joining the LEGO Technic design team taught me a lot more about the engineering that is behind all the vehicles and um, probably like the first Danish words I learned as well over here were the technical terms for things like differential steering,
Right.
suspension, and stuff like this, which is hard to believe. But yes, I still understand the words, even though I don't have to use them because everybody speaks fluent English in the office.
Yeah, for sure. Just a couple more questions. What are the qualities that a successful Lego designer needs to have? If someone's listening to this program and says, I want to
Mhm.
be a Lego designer, what do you have 13 and a half years later? What is your recommendation besides just being very patient when you when you do these things,
Yeah,
right?
patience is the key, definitely. The other word that starts with P would be passion. You have
Mm,
to be absolutely passionate about things that you're doing. If you don't like what you're doing, just go somewhere else, honestly. You're
yeah.
wasting everybody else's and yours time mainly. Um, Being ready to learn new things, maybe, which is something that you can't probably be taught or learn, but like thinking out of the box, like trying to come up with something that is weird, even at first, but might be unique and cool solutions to problems. And be ready to work in a team. If you're flying solo, you won't be happy over here, and I don't think they would even hire you at the
Mm.
Lego Group. You need to be able to, at one point as well, like, put your hands off the model and be ready that somebody else is gonna develop the model, or vice versa. When somebody falls ill, you might as well end up with somebody else's model that you've never touched before, have no connection, no knowledge of, and be ready to finish it. So to be ready for that. And if you, of course, study industrial design with specialty of toy designing, then that would be a definite plus, but it's not a must. There's tons of other professions formerly in our and other Lego tech or Lego design teams. Like in Lego Technic team, it's very wide variety of former occupations. We have a chef, we have a blacksmith that taught graphic design. We have car mechanic. We have interior car designers. We have mechanical engineers, teachers. You name it. It's probably gonna be there somewhere in the Lego design team across the organization.
Is there this is not a question about future product, but is there an F1 um, car that you would like to design in the future, whether it's a vehicle from current or a vehicle from the past? Um,
Oh, yeah, the six-wheel Tyrrell from the 70s. That was
okay.
always like the thing that fascinated me as a kid. I was like, this is such a cool design. How come there are not more of these cars? It looks way better than the four-wheeled one. So that would be lovely if I get to design like a historical F1. Otherwise, I'm rooting for Red Bull at the moment. but I don't have any problems designing anybody else's cars, to be honest. They all look equally cool, and regardless of their performance or on the placement on the grid, there's always something that I like about different teams' cars that I could pick up on and be happy with, designing it. So no, I'm not that picky. I tick the box for Red Bull, so I'm fine. I've done what I could.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a favorite track that you would like to visit at some point, maybe to get some inspiration?
Uh, Silverstone was always like a big name for me since I was a kid. I had the privilege to visit it already once, not for an F1 race, but for a Lego related
Mm.
video shoot
Hmm.
while there was the classic car race on the circuit happening. So every time I could, I was just standing on the balcony overlooking like what was happening on the track, and it was so amazing. And if I'm lucky, I might be able to visit the Netherlands Grand Prix in a few weeks' time. So yeah, fingers crossed, everything goes fine there.
Maybe a trip into the paddock to shake Max Verstappen's hand at
Oh
some
yeah, that
point.
would be great. Yes, or maybe even get the signature on the bottom of the car.
Perfect. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I,
Yeah.
I know that I know you can't talk about what's next, but I know that probably what's next for you is very exciting, and the things you're working on for 2027. What you're already working on is inspirational, and thank you for sharing your story. And I know that you believe that your story is a very unique one in how far you've come, and the fact that you're holding a Formula One car as a former teacher, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what a magical moment for you, Milan.
Yeah. It is. It is definitely. And thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing the car, and talking all about Formula One's relationship with Lego.
Yeah. See you. Take care.
Great, thank you. Thanks so much.